We are getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
There are some puzzling developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie.
There were some letters that came to your house.
To my house.
For me.
For you,
yeah.
Yes. So,
but it that had to do with Nancy Guthrie, but
yeah.
It seems like they are just people with weird ideas. I don't think it's anything significant to do with the case.
No.
And I'm sorry that you had to get letters. I don't know why that was happening.
That's okay. No. It was definitely interesting. And I did get to know an FBI agent because of those letters. And he's a super nice guy, and they're working really hard to try and solve the case. Yes.
Yeah.
87 days. That number doesn't sound like much until you actually sit with it. Until you stand on this quiet street in Tucson, Arizona, and feel what 87 days of silence actually weighs. I'm back here. Back outside this house. And I have to be honest with you, standing here again, looking at these same walls, this same driveway, this same mailbox, it hits differently the second time around. Because when I was here the first time, there was still a sense that answers were coming. That law enforcement had a strong lead. That maybe, just maybe, we have closure within days. That was weeks ago. And Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Look at this neighborhood. Really look at it. Wide streets. Well-kept homes. Mountains sitting in the distance like they've been watching over this valley for centuries. It is beautiful here. Genuinely, strikingly beautiful. The kind of place people spend their whole lives dreaming about retiring to. The kind of place where you leave your windows open at night because you feel safe. That safety is gone now. For the people who live on this street, and I mean the actual people, not the journalists, not the true crime followers, not the people watching from their couches across the country, this is not a story. This is their daily reality. Every morning they pull out of their driveways and pass that house. Every night they go to sleep knowing that whatever happened here happened just a few feet away. And nobody has been arrested. I spent time this morning sitting with one of Nancy's closest neighbors. A woman who has lived on this block for decades. A woman who knew Nancy not as a celebrity's mother, not as a headline, but as a neighbor. As a friend. As someone she'd wave to on walks. As someone she'd chat with over the fence. That woman, I'll call her Aldine, as I have before, is not doing well. And I don't mean that dramatically. I mean it quietly. The way grief actually works, not loud, not explosive, just a heaviness that has settled into everything. She told me the neighborhood feels hollow now. Not scary, exactly. Just incomplete. Like a sentence that ends mid-thought. But here's the part of my conversation with Aldine that I want you to pay attention to. She's been receiving letters. Not emails. Not messages. Physical letters. Typed out, sealed, dropped into her mailbox. Letters filled with theories about Nancy's disappearance. Strange ones. Rambling ones. The kind of letters that make you realize how deeply this case has embedded itself into the minds of people who have never even been to Tucson. Now, here's what makes this more unsettling. Some of those letters weren't even addressed to Aldine. They were addressed to me. But sent to her house. Think about what that means for a second. Whoever wrote those letters knew that I had been visiting that house. Knew which neighbor I had been spending time with. Knew enough about my movements in this neighborhood to redirect mail to someone I had been seeing talking to. That is not random. That is surveillance behavior. That is someone who is paying very close attention to who is investigating this case and who they're talking to. The FBI has already been to Aldine's house multiple times in recent weeks, not just to follow up on the night of January 11th, but specifically because of these letters. They've taken them. They're analyzing them. And while investigators have said publicly they don't believe the letters are directly connected to Nancy's disappearance, the fact that federal agents keep coming back to this quiet residential street tells you something. They are not done here. And about that night, January 11th, Aldine told me something that has stuck with me since the first time she said it. From her bathroom window, in the early hours of the morning, she saw a figure walking down this street. Not jogging. Not walking a dog. Just walking. Slowly. At an hour when no one in this neighborhood has any reason to be outside. She couldn't make out the face. The figure was too far. The lighting was too poor. But she noticed it. And in a neighborhood this quiet, noticing something means something. The FBI has interviewed her about that sighting more than once. They keep going back. Which tells you they believe that shadow matters. Now I want to talk about something that not many people have focused on, and I think it deserves a lot more attention. Nancy's property has a casita. A small guest unit attached to the main property that she was renting out. Let that land for a moment. An 84-year-old woman disappears from her home with no signs of forced entry. No broken locks. No shattered glass. No indication of a violent struggle that alerted anyone nearby. In a home where someone else, a tenant, a renter, had keys. Had access. Had a legal reason to be there. The investigative task force is now reportedly going back through nearly a decade of records. Every renter. Every contractor. Every tradesperson who ever had a legitimate reason to be on that property. Every person who ever held a key, even temporarily. One neighbor mentioned seeing a car parked at that casita consistently, for months, possibly over a year. Someone who lived 20 feet from Nancy. Who would have known her routine? Known when her lights went out. Known which entrance she used. Known the layout of the property the way you only know a place when you've lived next to it. This is the part of the case that investigators aren't talking about publicly. But the fact that they're digging this deep, this far back, tells you exactly what theory they're taking seriously. This was not random. This was not a stranger passing through. This was someone who knew. And yet, while all of this investigative work is happening behind closed doors, there is a volunteer search organization sitting on the sidelines with equipment, personnel, and expertise, and a refusal from local authorities to let them help. The United Cajun Navy reached out to the Pima County Sheriff's office early in this investigation. They didn't ask to take over. They didn't ask to go anywhere near the active crime scene. They simply offered what they do best, aerial drone coverage, K9 units, thermal imaging equipment, and proposed to search the thousands of acres of open desert surrounding this city that law enforcement simply doesn't have the capacity to cover. They were told no. No real explanation. No alternative plan offered. Just no. I spoke with their leadership about where things stand now. They're still willing to come. They've offered to revise their proposal entirely. A petition has been circulating online, gathering signatures from people who want the sheriff's office to reconsider. And here's what gets me, what their team told me, in roughly half of the searches they conduct across the country, they find remains that aren't even connected to the case they came for. People who went missing years ago. Cold cases that law enforcement had quietly given up on. Families who had no idea their loved one was lying in a field somewhere waiting to be found. By refusing this offer, the Pima County Sheriff isn't just potentially slowing down the search for Nancy Guthrie. They may be leaving other families in the dark too. I understand the argument about jurisdiction. About not wanting to compromise evidence. About maintaining the integrity of an active investigation. I genuinely do. But this is thousands of acres of open desert. Not the crime scene. Not the house. The desert. Let me be straight with you about what we know from sources close to the investigation right now. Hair was recovered inside the house. Hair that did not belong to Nancy. That sample is currently at an FBI laboratory. DNA processing takes time, sometimes more time than any of us would like, but when those results come back, they will either confirm what investigators already suspect, or they will open an entirely new set of questions. There is also active analysis of digital data. Cell tower pings. Wi-Fi signals. Footage from doorbell cameras and security systems in a wide radius around this neighborhood. Investigators are looking for what they're calling a ghost phone, a device that appeared near this address in the early hours of January 11th and then went dark. If that phone exists, and if it moved in a specific direction after going silent, it becomes a trail. Trails lead somewhere. People who have followed this case from the beginning, and I know many of you have been here since day one, will remember that Savannah Guthrie herself used the phrase taken from her bed. Those are the words of a daughter. Those are words chosen carefully by someone who knows more than the rest of us. Words that carry weight. An 84-year-old woman. Her own bed. In the middle of the night. And somewhere, someone knows exactly what happened. That is the part one can't shake. Because this neighborhood is not remote. This street is not isolated. Someone in this community, maybe someone who saw a car they didn't recognize, or heard something that felt odd, or noticed a face that didn't belong, has a piece of information they may not even realize is important. If that person is watching this, please reach out. To law enforcement. To the FBI tip line. To anyone. Nancy Guthrie deserves to be found. Her family deserves answers. And this story is not going silent. Not while I'm still covering it.